Welcome to the Powerful Vulnerability Podcast, where we believe in the transformative power of storytelling from the heart. I'm Dr. Ashley.
And I'm Catherine Russler.
We are so glad you're here. Many stories here are extraordinary.
And some carry quiet wisdom.
All teach us. Welcome back to Powerful Vulnerability. Today we are joined by Rosen Klepel. Rosen was born in Bulgaria and spent most of his early youth in an orphanage there. At age 12, he was adopted by a missionary couple, Duane and Joyce Klepel. He was then raised in Lake Elmo, Minnesota, until, as a young adult, he joined Youth with a Mission, also known as YWAM, and became a missionary. He has two brothers and three sisters who are also serving the Lord as missionaries in Thailand. Rosen has always had a heart for children at risk, such as girls that are trafficked and boys in orphanages. Now, Rosen and his wife, Oksana, and their 3-year-old daughter, Emma, are part of the leadership development team for YWAM that provides training, retreats, debriefing, member care, and life coaching for missionaries and leaders in the field. They are full-time missionaries based in Ternopil, Ukraine, where they support the exhausted troops in the midst of the war and work on sustainability projects, as well as in discipleship and hospitality ministry with locals and visiting missionaries. Rosen and Oksana believe that people are God's biggest treasure, and that is why they are so passionate about investing in them. Rosen, so glad to have you with us today. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here. Yeah. Rosen, I'd like to just start from the beginning. Can you tell us about what it was like growing up in the orphanage in Bulgaria?
From the beginning, my parents, they found out when, I guess, before the pregnancy with the ultrasound that I had some kind of handicap, but they did not know what it was. So they decided when I was right away born to put me in the orphanage right away. So I grew up until 12 and a half. And then I was adopted 12 and a half. But first couple of years was like the orphanage, every orphanage is just rough. People are trying to survive. You fight, you steal each other's toys, not enough food, you're try to feed yourself different ways. And so it was quite tough and hard. And so it was all about survival skills to survive. Who can survive the most or who can become out of it as much as normal as possible, but it's not normal anyway. So you just fight all the time for your survival skills.
Did you get any sort of education in the orphanage?
I did, but well, I went to the public school system. It was
Okay.
not in the orphanage. We didn't have a school, so we went across the street to a big high school, middle school. It was from grade 1 till I think 10 or 11. So we went to a regular school across the street. So, but the teachers knew that we were orphans, so they will purposely give us low grades, and we have to redo the
Oh,
class. So I didn't do my best. I tried my best. I was a good, smart kid, but it was wasting my time. So. I mainly hung out in the streets with a lot of street kids. Most of them became my best friends. So that's how I did school off and on, but off not kind of. So
it sounds really rough. Tell me about your adoptive parents and what it was like coming to the US at age 12.
my adopted parents, when they adopted me, they were 61. It usually cannot happen this. It's against the law. Only from age 59 and lower families can adopt. But my social worker adoption agency gave an exception to them because they knew they were good people and they were teachers in Thailand. At first, I was shocked when I saw them because they were so old. They were not old enough to be my grandparents. So I thought, oh my gosh, who are these old people? Like, this is going to be my parents. When we came to the airport to pick them up in the airport, I saw them and I started bawling. And I said, my social worker is trying, it's okay, it's gonna be just calm. And they're good family, but at that time I did not know. I just thought, oh, they're really old people. So at first it was very difficult, and I had a trial time for 1 week that I can decide do I want them or not, because that's the Bulgarian law. It's just such an old age when I'm ready to be adopted. I can decide the last minute, no, I don't want to be adopted by them. But I lived with them for 1 week and I liked it, and they taught me different things, and I did not know any English, so that was a barrier for me
Mhm.
also. And they tried to discipline me. That was a little bit hard, and because I did not understand English, they did not understand Bulgarian. So it was a culture differences. Of course, I grew up in an orphanage, so I also did not learn good manners, and It was a survival skill. So I think for the first year was very difficult. So, and for
Mhm.
them and for me, then I also had one sister that was still living at home. She didn't move out yet, but so I think it was just adjusting was quite challenging. So
Are you their only adopted child?
yes.
So how did it come to be that out of everybody in the world, they got you?
Well, there was a YWAM adoption agency that came to my orphanage called Crown Adoption Agency, and they were part of YWAM, but they had many offices they had in Romania, Bulgaria, Japan, Thailand. So my dad met them in Bangkok in a
Mm.
bank. My dad was going to do his banking, and the adoption agency was doing their banking something in Bangkok. So they met in Bangkok, and they would start to talk. And my dad always had a vision to adopt a boy around that age, 12, 13. And then they said, well, we have the perfect boy that needs really a family, and that he would like to be adopted. And then they started talking, and my mom was not ready because my mom said, well, I'm kind of old and we cannot have more children. And we just finished raising our children, and they're ready to be, the youngest is ready to go to college. But they both prayed about it, and they're okay with me being to adopt me, and they were ready for the work. And so that's how it came through the adoption agency. They met, they talked, and then they started doing the home study and the background checks.
Right.
If you're adopting, you have to do all these background checks, and they had supporters that donated to adoption, towards adoption. So
Huh.
that's how it happened. So a good,
Amazing.
quick version. I can be here for hours sharing the
Oh, I'm
story,
sure.
but yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah.
And what about your birth parents? What sort of relationship, if any, do you have with them?
In 2014, I started to have the really desire to start finding them, and I was starting to search. So I went to a school in Redding, California, Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry.
Mhm.
Then all the mission trips were led to Bulgaria. So I said, "Oh, I want
Ah,
to Bulgaria." So to my home country and start investigating. So I contacted my adoption agency, my social worker, which was still close friends. And I contacted her. I said, "Can you start digging into documents to start finding my real parents?" She said, "I can, no problem, but I can only go to a certain extent. Then farther I cannot go. I can lose my job."
oh,
And
wow.
she was, documents are locked in the vault of the Supreme Court. High judges, they hide there, everything. And once your case is done, it's closed. So I started. He got me some documents, but not very much. Just the names, ages, where I was born. So I knew that already. She didn't have
Mm.
to really dig for it. But our bus driver, who was a driver in our mission trip, he said, "Well, let me." This is a short story. He contacted a colleague of his, and he said, "Give me in 10 minutes." So in 10 minutes, he said, I have two addresses, the names. You have an older brother who's older than you. He's your biological brother. But they
Hmm.
never told him that you exist. He's the
Oh,
only,
wow.
that he exists only. But if you're 4 years old, you will discover that your mom is pregnant.
Right,
You
you would
can't hide
notice.
too much. So I don't know that area, but he said there's two addresses and this is the phone number. These are for sure, but maybe one of them is for sure when they don't live in there anymore. And so in 2015, I went again for my second year trip. And then I had this information, and one day I decided, hey, can I leave for the day and go find my parents? And the mission trip said, sure, go ahead. Here's
Yeah.
$50. We give you part of our donation. We want to help you towards the gas, towards food, whatever you need. So I took one pastor, one gypsy pastor went with me. We were in my home city. We were doing anyways evangelism trip there. And then we went to this apartment. We rang the
Mhm.
bell. The lady said, you can come up. Knocked on the door. She said, come in. But she said, they moved 10 years ago. They don't live here, your parents. They were here. But 10 years ago, they moved to another place, which I don't know. But the second address is the correct one, I guess. The first one was not right, but the second one we knew that. So Pastor and I drove to the second address, but it was 3 hour drive.
Oh, wow.
So we arrived to the second address, and we saw two older ladies talking. but at the gate. So we let them finish their conversation. We were waiting in the car, the pastor, and then they finished talking. And but at the time that day, God told me take your documents that the social worker gave you, all the information, and they're in Bulgarian. So I took them along with me, and
Mhm.
then I got out of the car and I went to say, hey, hello, is this so and so live? And she was starting to wonder, who are you? And I said,
Yeah.
well, she looked at my face very carefully. She said, you are my grandson. I said, yes. And here's my documents to prove you that whoever lives in this house, this is the true. And she said, I don't need to really read it. And she said, let me go inside the house and bring you somebody. And so I said, I'll wait, I'll wait. So she brought my grandfather, which just passed away a couple of years ago. So my grandfather comes and he meets me. He's so happy. She's so happy. But my grandma told me one thing. She said, I knew your parents should not done this. They should not lied or they should not put you in the orphanage. And I knew you would be a good boy from the beginning.
Mm.
She said, "Oh, that's just my intuition."
So sweet.
Because I told her I worked with orphans in Ukraine. I worked with street kids. I work with. I knew you would be doing this from the beginning. So she had an intuition and sense of feeling that she had in her gut. So she called my father, but because from that morning my parents just left for a hot spring therapy for their body. So they just left that morning. But she said, "Let me call them. Maybe you can go to their holiday house or holiday place where you can meet them." She said,
Mhm.
"I think it would be great for you to meet them." So she called and my father answered. They said, well, your son is here. Would you like to meet him? And he said, well, he was in shock. I still exist and I'm okay. And then, so he said, well, if they're willing to drive 3 more hours again,
Wow.
we'll be willing to see them. So we said goodbye to my grandma. We gave each other hugs. And then the pastor started driving his car and we another 3 hours. So by the time we arrived, it was about 6 o'clock in the evening. It's totally dark.
Mhm.
So we arrived, but I could not see he could not see my face. So we made a reservation in a restaurant. So we went to the restaurant, the pastor, and then I see finally their face, and I see my mother kind of looks like me. So that's true. I can see that there's a resemblance. And so we sit down and we started talking, and I said, "Well, I just want to let you know from before we start, I forgive you, I love you. It doesn't matter what happens. We just to clear the breath, clear the
Mhm.
atmosphere,
The air,
just
yeah.
to let you know it doesn't matter what happens. I've forgiven you in my past. I have dealt with it." And then my mom said, "Oh, I guess you want to know what happens." And I said, "Well, if you want to share, you don't have to
Mhm.
share." So she said, well, I did not know there was some handicap you will be born with. I really don't know exactly. And then she said, I decided from the nurses to take you away and put you in an orphanage. And I said, is it true that I have an older brother? And she said, it is true, but I don't want you to contact him or try to find him.
Oh,
And we have a
no.
granddaughter. And then I said, oh, I totally respect that. I will try I will not look any. I respect your choice. I respect your wish. And
Mhm.
then so we talked for 3 hours. Then we had to leave, and we joined my team back in the hotel. And then in 2018, Oksana and I went again to Bulgaria, and officially Oksana met them. But there's no emotional connection, so it's a way. I think our chapter is closed, and I think
Wow.
it's for me. I found my real parents. I have found the truth, so I don't need to more look. And my friend found even my brother too, but he lives in England. He has a
Oh,
daughter.
wow.
I know where they are, but it's just for me. I closed the chapter and said
Yeah.
I will respect their wish and not try to find him. So
Wow. And you've never spoken to him?
no, I never spoken to him. I
Wow.
don't know his number, but I've seen pictures of him. I know my niece, his wife. I have pictures of them, who they are, and I
Yeah.
can see there's a resemblance. But I don't have any connections, emotional, physical connections with my family, so I think why waste my time and why waste their emotional. My
Wow.
mom was in shame, so I don't need to put any more
No, that's hard.
guilt
Yeah, I'm
and
sure it's
shame.
hard.
So
I can't
so
imagine giving up a
yeah,
baby.
I
Can
feel
you
good about it. They feel good about it. There's no really physical a- attachment. There's no emotional attachment. So for me,
right.
I accept my adopted family as my parents. And but if I go to Bulgaria, I will contact my real parents, and we will meet
Mhm.
a neutral place in a coffee shop, restaurant. They never want me to go to their location, which I have
Huh.
their address. I can go anytime. I respect their wish, and we always meet. We talk. They give me money, and they say goodbye. Then that's it. So
Can you tell me more about your emotional journey from being essentially abandoned to then being chosen and loved?
I struggle with a lot of anxiety because at the orphanage, my friends went home every weekend. So 40 kids
Oh,
did not go home. We were 100% orphans. We were there 24/7, but in the weekends, kids went home. And for me, I was wondering why my parents never coming. Why? And my teacher said, just stop wasting your time fussing and crying, and they're not coming back. And I said, well, so I started sniffing glue, started alcohol when I
oh,
was 5. I started to break windows, started to be aggressive, angry, because I knew there was no hope. And at
right.
one point at 10 years old, I was ready to commit suicide because there is a statistics actually in Ukraine, Bulgaria, all Eastern European. The first 60% of girls who graduate in Eastern Europe, first year of graduation, they end up in prostitution. The boys, 70% when they graduate orphanage within the first year end up in drugs and end up in crime. And then 10% of kids commit suicide when they first year of graduation. So that's the United Nations statistics of Eastern European children when they graduate. So I was one of the 10%. I was ready to suicide. I was ready to jump off the cliff because in Ukraine, every kid goes to a summer camp because they clean up the orphanage, they try to remodel, but they don't do
Okay.
this crap. They just lie and then send the kids and they give the teachers 3 months off. That's the
Yeah.
basically. So
Yeah.
in Bulgaria, we have mountains. So we
Mhm.
always go to the mountains. I was ready to. I went on my walk by myself because we can walk, wander by ourselves. We had a lot
Mhm.
of freedom in my orphanage. They cannot just keep us in a cage. We can go wander, walk. We need to come back for dinner, lunch, and
Mhm.
so I was ready to jump off the cliff, but I felt God's hand push me back. And then, well, I actually prayed a very simple prayer. I was not a believer. My teachers even tried to push me to go to Orthodox church. I said, oh, this stuff is crap. But I just said, God, if you're there, give me a family who love me, accept me, and value me. That's all I ask for. I don't ask for
Mhm.
parents with nice cars, money.
Right.
So a couple months, my adoption agency, they came and they interviewed me. She said, I think you'll be our priority to find parents for you. So that's, I
Wow.
think, it was God's answered prayer. Even I did not believe in God, who, what, and but God heard a simple child's prayer, not even a need, but also it was a want. So
Mhm.
God not just cares about your needs, but He also cares about your wants. And simple tennis racket or simple just prayer, value, accepted, and being
Yeah.
loved. That's all I was asking for. And I got my wish. And the orphanage was very tough because my orphanage was the poorest orphanage, and we had the most gypsies. So we had all the high people, presidents, prime ministers come to us, and then
Wow.
they give us the best food when they come. And
Right.
but after that, it's back to the old. And then week showers, once a week change clothes. Very bad. It was very bad.
And
But I
then
got healing from it. I went to many counseling. With YWAM, I received many counseling. I had close family that I lived in Ukraine with. They were helping me a lot emotionally. I had to forgive not just my parents. When the Klepel, I had many surgeries, many
mhm.
dentists. So orphans always went to the dentist and surgeons because they will practice on us. So I
Oh,
was one surgery away from being fed on tubes for the rest of my life.
oh my God.
And then a businessman came to Holland, from Holland. He looked at me and he said, "In 4 days, you and I flying to Holland, and you're gonna live with me, and you're gonna do a couple major surgeries." And Amsterdam hospital was the best hospital in the world for children with cleft palates because they had even technology in Amsterdam that they can fix a cleft palate before even the child was born inside the womb. They can do a
Wow.
miraculous surgery that a child will be born and no cleft palate. So they knew the surgery what to do with me, and they said we have to have two surgeries, major ones. I think one was over 10 hours where they grafted a hip bone and they put it in the pa- uh
In the
in
roof of your
the roof
mouth.
of my, yeah. And then
Yeah.
because I had the most severe case, and then in Bulgaria they just destroyed one doctor's practice this, and then
Yeah.
because I had the most severe case, and then in Bulgaria they just destroyed one doctor's practice this. Then I come and I tear my lip apart, or another surgery, I tore my nose apart, and it was just. And then he said, if the doctors in Holland told me one more, then you'll be on tubes for the rest of your life. And
Yeah.
they fixed it. Even when I came to America, a surgeon said we could not done any better. And then the Dutch doctors.
Wow.
But I was a year and a half in Holland, and then I had to go back to my orphanage because
Wow.
he didn't want to adopt me. He just wanted to help me out. So
That was nice
but I
of
had
him, at
visa,
least.
passport in 4 days. He knew the president. He knew the prime minister. He knew all the government officials. He knew the ambassador. So it was. I had in 4 days. I was quickly out of Bulgaria. I was uh
Wow.
received my translator there. I could do my school, Bulgarian schooling in Holland. But I joined the school in Holland, but I was doing my own school. But I was with other children playing in
Mhm.
recess, and
Wow. How old were you then?
I was 10 when I went to
10.
Holland, and I came when I was 11, no, maybe 9.5 to I was almost 10.5 when I came back to Bulgaria.
Wow. So, can you tell us about right, you've been through all of this, and then you decided to become a missionary.
My parents were very inspiring to me. When I became a Christian, it was my parents had always devotions at home, like a song because my dad played a instrument called omnichord. It was for dummies where he can push a key and then
Cool.
grow the thing. And so I really feel that peace of God. And when my dad was playing the instrument and we were singing all these hymns, then my dad would tell me crazy miracle stories in Thailand with pirates and all this. My dad built a catamaran boat, 60 by 40 foot, 60 long, 40-foot wide. They lived in a boat with my brothers and sisters, and then he would build airplanes when he was young, houses by himself, and he
Wow.
would tell me many missionaries' faith stories. And I was really encouraged, and I said, "Wow, I want to experience these miracles. I want to experience these signs and wonders where God provided for them financially and God provided them physically." And so I became a Christian, and when I was 13 years old, and I received a vision that I will go back to Eastern Europe like Moses. I'll go back to Egypt.
Right.
I
Going
thought I was
home.
going back to Bulgaria, but I ended up in Ukraine, and I lived for Ukraine many years. And I decided, well, 17, it's time to move on. And actually, my adoption agency, they were YWAMers, and they said, we would like you to do a school in Romania at age
Mhm.
16. And I finished high school quite early because I was very motivated. I was sharp kid. I was smart. My mom, she said, if you want to finish high school, you can finish at 16. But you have to really work hard, take your GED. So at 16, I took my GED and I went to Romania. And my agency said, well, we sold one of our office in Japan. And part of the money will go towards your school, outreach. And the school was called Principal and Child Youth Ministry. It was focused on children at risk, orphans, how you can do Sunday school lessons, you can do art therapy, anything with children.
Mhm.
So I went to school in Romania. It was 3 months. That was before DTS. But for me, they made a special case because they said we were paying for the school. and then our daughter and son-in-law are leading the school. So I went to Romania. I did the school. Guess where my outreach was in my 3 months? It was in my orphanage in Bulgaria for the first time in
Wow.
4 years, going back to Bulgaria. And I said, oh my gosh. By that time, I did not deal with any healing. I did not deal with it. So all this anxiety started to come.
Yeah.
And my lawyer, my social worker said, well, you stay with me. They can stay in your orphanage. It's not safe for you to stay in your orphanage. Just, I don't want you to get emotional. It's
Yeah.
not. So I stayed in the house for the week that we were there. And anyways, the school was finished. The outreach was finished. Then my leader said, well, why don't you come to Budapest and live with us and join YWAM? But they said, well, before joining YWAM, you have to do the discipleship training school. So I
Mhm.
went to the States. I came back to the States. I worked for a while, and then I did DTS in the States, discipleship training school. I did outreach. Then I finally went to Hungary for 1 year. It was not working out because there was no youth ministry or children ministry. So
Mm.
friends of mine, he's from Kyrgyzstan, got kicked out from Ukraine, and he came to visit us in Budapest. So he got his new visa. Then my leaders in Budapest said, I think it's for you time to move on. And I think this will be the perfect family. You can live with them. They will help you emotionally. They can help you grow, and you can work with orphans in Ukraine. And there's a lot of street kids, a lot of orphans in Ukraine.
Yes.
Why don't you? I think it's for you time to move on. And here, there's nothing for you. So I moved to Ukraine in 2003 to almost 2004. Then I joined YWAM when I did my DTS 17, around 18. I moved to Ukraine and I went to Ukraine till 2010. Well, end of 2010. Then I moved to China for 4 years. I worked with leprosy there. My friend got kicked out, so he said, take over my leprosy ministry. So I did not know anything about leprosy, so I just took it over. I work with orphans there, with human trafficking awareness, with not for sale, some projects,
Mhm.
investigation, which factories use slaves and different things. And then I
Yeah.
became not for sale Southeast Asia board member. Started to work with Justice International. It's a big human
IJM,
trafficking.
yeah, International
Yes,
Submission.
I met the CEO. I did some couple projects with them in China also. And
Mhm. Wow. And what does your average day in Ukraine look like now? Or your average week? Or what kinds of things do you do?
well, we were doing orphan care before. We were discipling leaders. We were Oksana's passion is also hospitality and disciple one-on-one. Hers is more personal. It's not like, hi, how are you? Bye. Her
Right.
passion is more for the individual and wants to invest in the person. So she has a gift of hospitality, and that was what
She
we were doing
does.
before the war. So during the war, of course, for the first 3 months, we fled 3 days after the war started. Gas stations were filled with lines up to 3 kilometers long. I waited for 4 hours just to get gas, and we were packing our
Wow.
suitcases. We fled. Our colleague said, Are you leaving?" I said, "Yes, we are leaving in 24 hours." She was pregnant. He was Canadian, so they said, "Can we come with your car?" Because we had a car. Then we took a Russian colleague with us, and we were stuck in the border for 33 hours. It was cold, so I had to turn on the car every couple hours to turn to heat up, then turn it
Yeah.
off because I could not stop in the gas stations. Gas stations were full, and we had to get out of the country. But nobody knew what was going to happen. We thought, is it going to come to Ternopil? So the best thing is we fled. Then my brother in Canada bought us tickets for Canada. Our friends had come to Texas, Corpus Christi. You can stay in a ranch for as long as you want. But our friends in Poland, we came in and we did not know what to do. But our friends said, you guys are Ukrainians. Can you stay here for 1 month and help translate for Ukrainian refugees who are fleeing from them? So Oksana went to hospitals, translated for their medical needs. I was driving day and night, picking up refugees. from the border, then driving them to the church with young babies, 2 month old, 1 month old, few weeks old, couple years old kids. And so I was every other night I was driving back and forth to the border, 3 hours there, 3 hours back.
Mm.
But we finally got tired and we said, let's go to Canada. So my brother bought the tickets. We went to Canada. I worked for my brother for 6 weeks. They live in a forest. It was really refreshing. Then we went to Corpus Christi, visit our friends who helped us with a big amount to purchase our house in Ukraine. Then after 3 months in June 22, Oksana said, it's enough. Then we were pregnant at that time. Then she didn't want to live in anybody's house anymore. We got tired, and she said, "I want to go back home and help my people there." So we got back to Ukraine. We started helping with our YWAM base, packing 1,900 food bags a week, even
Wow.
a couple days. Then I started driving with colleagues of mine to the east with Sprinter vans and delivering to the churches, pastors who were asking to bring it. Then started to have refugees in Ternopil. Then our YWAM base were feeding refugees twice a week. Then we give them 50-pound bags with everything, with toothbrush, detergent, flour, rice, pasta, spam meat. It was like a 50-pound bag. So it was with everything, toothpaste, with hand soap, shower gel, because they coming from the east and they lost everything. So Ternopil has gained 50,000 people since the invasion happened because it's relatively safe, but everywhere in Ukraine's been hit. So we are helping now wherever the need is. And you guys in America have certainty. We don't have uncertainty. Every day is a new day. We're trying to stay alive. Left and right, Russians are bombing east and west. We have power outages. This winter was the worst, so we fled for the winter. It was a perfect. I bought the tickets even more than a half a year ago, and it was a perfect timing. And then we came to Texas. We were in Arizona. We visited you,
Yeah.
and now we're going back home next week, Thursday, and we're gonna continue to work. And our new ministry, starting in November, is hosting Foreign Legion soldiers like Americans, Danish, different. That's Oksana's heart. Because our base director said, you guys are perfect family to host foreign soldiers where they need a family to
Mm-hmm.
encourage them, to pray for them, to love on them because they come here to do their paperwork in Ternopil and then
Okay.
they go out after 1 month. They have to do that, the medical checks, contracts, and all these payments, how Ukrainian government will pay them, and different things they have to do. It takes a couple of weeks, so we started hosting foreign soldiers, and then we feed them a good meal. Of course, Emma loves them, wants them to read books to her. So for them, it's a very therapeutical for them actually.
Yeah.
Base director, after they left, few of the guys that we already hosting, she said those soldiers really feel at home. They feel peace at your house. They really feel the love of God. They really feel the hospitality, and they really feel that you care for them. And even your child is more ministry than you are. That Emma
Yeah.
asks him to read books, and it's like, so this is our new ministry in Ukraine, hosting foreign soldiers and being a family to them, being welcoming in them, because they don't have any home cooked meal. They just go out to eat. They go back to their apartment. They play video games, or they have to wait a while. But that's our new. Then we're still helping refugees, and then we have a veteran taxi ministry where we take soldiers to their appointments. I go to sometimes hospitals, visit soldiers, and we process their pain. They talk to us. We bring them their like small needs, deodorant, maybe shower gel, because they're stuck for there for 9 months, up to a year and a half. They have to have often surgeries, shrapnel from their ear, from the leg. So they have to wait. There's a big line and waiting for surgeries for soldiers, for orthopedic, and they have to heal infection. They have to have another surgery. So they're there for a year and a half, 2 years in the hospital, and we come and visit them, and encourage them. hear their pain. They tell us how they got shot or how they got wounded. They share everything there. And then with the veteran taxi, we take them to concerts, to coffee shops, whatever they want. We are there
Yeah.
in their needs. So we don't just have our agenda, but we do what they want. Oh, I want to go to a concert. Can you take me tonight to a concert? So since 2022, our work is every day different. It can be
Mm-hmm.
veteran taxi to a hospital, to helping military in our house, to cooking a full day a meal, then hosting them in the evening, and they're with us a couple hours, and that's how it looks right now. And from the war when it started, it's just many Christians are tired. Everybody's tired, exhausted, worn out. Ukrainian people are very resilient, and everybody's mentally, physically, emotionally tired. Just is
Yeah.
everybody worn out. So we were even tired. We were emotionally because all the time silence. Children hear sirens. They have to go to bomb shelters. We hear airplanes very close. Emma runs to me or to Oksana, and then that's just reality for children in Ukraine. This
Yeah.
uncertainty if they're gonna stay alive. If we hear a
Yeah.
drone, that's a danger for us. Or we hear airplane, that means it's dangerous. So
Right.
always, I'm sure we have PTSD ourselves, but
Yeah.
we carry on the work and we're doing what God has called us to do here.
I
And we
know
are here to support Oksana's family and help
it's
them
been
in any way.
so humbling watching your commitment through, right? Risk to your life, not having electricity, basic.
Yeah, 8 hours off, 2 hours on, maybe 10 hours off, sometimes to 23 hours off, 1 hour on. Even some apartments froze inside. People are
Wow.
sleeping. People are with 9 blankets to 10 blankets. So that's
If
just
anyone
reality now.
if anyone wanted to help, what could we do?
If anybody wants us to support our work, we need more monthly support. You can donate to, I will send you the link, our
Mhm.
website, Rosen and Oksana
Mhm.
Klepel.com. Down in the bottom is a donate button. It's tax deductible, and you can donate yearly, quarterly, or monthly. So this is how you can donate. I will give it all the information
Yeah.
to you, and you can
I can
post
link
in
it in the show
yeah,
notes today.
yeah. So that's how you can donate to us and towards our work and the work that is keep on going in Ukraine with our YWAM base. Because if people specify the needs, then we give it to the veteran taxi or to the different needs that is supposed to go to. So if it's for us, we use it for hospitality. We use it for different projects with women and different helping different individuals that who are in need, or we help families. We help maybe soldiers. We buy them their personal care
Mm.
shampoo. If they need shampoo, we buy personally from our own pockets. So
Amazing. Rosen, I feel like you've lived a whole life of difficulty, and then you're still choosing every day to stay in the
yeah.
difficulty to help others. It's amazing.
It's a
Do you have
calling,
any
and you have to be. It's a calling, and you have to be willing to to go and
do you have any final words of wisdom you'd like to share with us today?
pray for Ukraine, help Ukraine, and then also maybe one thing is also Oksana's brother Sergey is 54 years old. He's serving in the front lines, and we're also trying to help him as with his military equipment that he needs, and he's tired, he's worn out, he has a lot of medical needs, and that's
Yeah.
also as you think of him, pray for him. His name is Sergey. So I just want to encourage you. Thank you for your support and your encouragement for Ukraine. And we're not giving up. We're persistent. We're doing good. We're tired, but we are still standing, and we're very resilient people. And we will win it in one or the other way. So
Well, thank you for everything that you're doing for the people around you. And thank you for sharing today and sitting with your sitting in the hold on. Thank you for sharing today and sitting with us in your powerful vulnerability.
thank you.
All right, I'm going to end our recording.
Mhm.
Thank you for sitting in powerful vulnerability with us today. I'm Dr. Ashley.
And I'm Catherine.
Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast as your preferred app allows.
See you on the next episode.